Hey everyone, Sam and Chris from Wyvern Kodiak here. Before we get started, like and subscribe, check out some of the other videos and content that we have on our channels. Thanks a lot. Hey everyone, Sam at Wyvern Kodiak, and I realized that I didn't review my very own 2025 Knife of the Year for under $300, and that is the Bestech Taipan. And so I'm going to make sure that we right that wrong right now. So here is what I thought was quite possibly one of the best designs I've ever handled. And this is by James Lowe, and James Lowe is out of Australia. And he has a lot of designs that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Most recently, he put out that banger from KB, the KB Venom. He has the Tenable Eagle Strike. He has a Kubi Silo. And he's got a bunch of other ones as well. So let's do a walk around on this knife. First off, you can see that this has some outstanding, really nice deep milling. You can hear that. It is really, really, really nice. And it echoes around the pivot here. Gorgeous. I absolutely love that. Beautiful backspacer with some jimping texturing on that. Wraps all the way down to the back. A really nice milled pocket clip which follows the bodies, the lines of the body on here, and the texture is also on that, which I really dig. Has some lock bar relief cuts here, but not one giant cut, which is really just kind of it fits this knife well. I don't know why. It really does kind of slot in really well on this design. Some really good jimping on the spine of the knife over here, which is good and sharp the way I really love that jimping. And it goes up and over the top of the front flipper, so that is not going to be a complaint for once from me. And then you just have a couple of body screws and the pivot. So let's open this thing up. And there you have a gorgeous belt satin, like Wharncliffe blade that is just stunning. I absolutely love the finish on Bestech's belt satin. I think they do an outstanding job. If you look, it's off on a diagonal going this way, and they did a really, really nice job on this thing. I dig it. So let's talk sizes, because I've heard people say they think this knife is too big, and well, I've got big hands, so I guess for me it's definitely not, but the overall on this is 8.3 inches. The blade on it is 3.73 inches. And the weight comes in at just 3.79 ounces for an 8.3 inch blade. That is pretty light. And we'll get into that in a second. Size comparisons real quick. Here is a Demko 8020.5. And here is a Demko Shark Cub. You can see that the Taipan is much larger than both of those, I'm sorry. And then we have a Benchmade Bug Out. And we have a Vosteed Porcupine. And you could see once again that the Taipan is way bigger than both of them. So we are going to look at some edge geometry for a second here. The reason why this knife is so light, like, don't get me wrong, there's a little bit of weight relief there on the inside of the scales, and you can kind of see that here and in there. You could see there's some milling in there. But this is why. It's already thin blade stock, but then you turn it this way and the edge just disappears. It gets so thin behind the edge. This is a really beautiful deep hollow on the grind here, and it gets super, super thin behind the edge. And so there's just no blade material, no weight here at all. And I mean, I'm an inch behind the pivot here, and that's where the balance point is. So it's a little bit handle heavy, but it's not a heavy knife, so it's really not something that's crazy and affects anything. So let's talk ergos. Ergos in hand, 4-finger grip, plenty of room here. You can see I have more than enough space here to grab onto this knife. Squeezing down, I'm not getting any pinch points, I'm not getting any hot spots. This knife feels super, super comfortable. This spot right here, this little flat, is where my choke up point would be for it. And I can get here, I can put my thumb out where it starts to slope down on the drop, and I'm locked in. I'm home right here, and I can go to work and power through some serious Amazon boxes. Or whatever else you're cutting, I guess. So this knife's ergonomics for me, and again, I think that's always a personal thing. Chris and I talk about that a lot, how our hands are very similar in size, but when he holds certain things and I hold certain things, one thing's comfortable for him and not for me. Ergonomics are a very individual thing, a very personal thing. So take that to account when you're watching reviews, that what is super comfortable for me is not always super comfortable for you. You're always going to want to check that for yourself, because your hands and mine are not the same, even if they were the same size. So these are on bearings, and let's check some action here. It is super action on this thing. Very easy to deploy. Thumb, very easy. Reverse flick, very easy. Front flipper is one of the best front flippers in the market, in my opinion, and that is super easy. And you can even roll it over the top without any issues. If you're learning how to do that, this would probably be a great knife for you to do that on. So, and you can hear that every once in a while, depending on where your hands are on the knife, I think, this knife lets off a ting like unlike any other. And you hear that little metallic ting at the end. It's that vibration that hits, and its sound is spectacular. But sometimes your hands are somewhere on the handle that mutes that vibration, and you don't get that ting. So it's kind of, I'm still working on trying to figure out exactly where I need to hold this knife to get that ting every single time. But it is outstanding, and I absolutely love that sound. It is addicting. So let's do a pocket clip review. You know, I think that's the next step. We always do our pocket clip reviews, and it has an elongated ramp here. It has plenty of room underneath, and it has a little bit of bend, but I will say it is tough. So when I'm pulling up here, it is stiff. I have not carried this knife very much, so that could be a good reason as to why. But let's get out the test pants here, and let's check this out. So for those of you new to the channel, I'm going to take this knife, I'm going to put it in the pocket of these pants. We're going to test how easy the pocket clip is to go into the pants, how well it retains, how easy it comes out of the pants, and then if there's any long-term damage that it would create on the edge or fray of these pockets. So let's do this. So a little bit of pressure, not a ton. Sorry, I went in a little crooked, so that was on me. That's not the pocket clip. I'm just going to start over on that part here. Let's do this again. So a little bit of pressure, push it in. There you go. You're in. And you're sticking up a little less than a half an inch, I would say. So not a terrible amount, but it isn't fully deep carry, which is okay. It's okay, but it does get in the pocket all right. It does retain really well. You can see that it is moving the pants, but position in the pocket has not changed for the knife. It is still staying in place there. So that's not a problem. Pulling it out of the pocket, again, it's got retention, so there's some pressure there, but there is no hang up anywhere. And so it gets over this no problem, and it's really not going to create any long-term damage. If there was any damage to the pocket over a long period of time, I don't think it would be the pocket clip on this one. I think they did a really nice job. They put a flat underneath there. You can see underneath the pocket clip, it stays away from the cutouts, and they did chamfer the cutouts. You could see it's almost like they took a drill bit and went in sideways this way, so it's like a circle. So this is really an outstanding pocket clip, and one that definitely gets a great passing grade. So final thoughts on this knife. There's a reason why this knife was my 2025 knife of the year for under $300. And that is when you couple the fit, the finish, the design, the functionality, and everything else that goes into this knife, it hits above its weight, in my opinion. It is one of those knives that makes you feel like this thing was made for me. And that's how I feel. Chris would define this as a knife that has mechanical soul, and I would agree. This one absolutely connects with me at a deeper level. And this is a welcome addition to my collection that I can't foresee ever leaving. Now, some updated news. They did make a mini Taipan for those of you that feel like maybe this knife might have been too big. Fred the Lug. Just kidding, buddy. The mini Taipan is available for pre-order, and those should be coming pretty soon. To be honest, I'm really considering grabbing one because I absolutely love this knife, and I think the mini is just going to be a home run as well. For the full-size one, there are 7 finishes. So I got one out of the first run, and there were only 3 finishes at the time. 3 or 4 finishes at the time. And now they have 7 finishes, including a gorgeous, absolutely stunning Damascus one. And then they have the minis. They're offering them in lefties as well. So definitely worth it. Check it out. The fit and finish on this thing is outstanding. It is a Bestech knife, and well, Bestech does some really, really incredible work. There's a reason why Chris and I chose them to be our OEM for our knife that we're putting out, and they do not disappoint. Them and Riot are absolutely tops in that game, in my opinion, and this is a perfect example of why. Now, one other note to mention on James Lowe. So he is a designer out of Australia, which I mentioned, and we talked about a little bit of some of the knives that he has. But he has a really cool design philosophy, and his design philosophy is form, function, flair. That's what he says, form, function, flair. I am pretty sure that he hit the nail right on the head with this thing. If that was what he was going for, you have form, you have function, and well, I think he hit the flair too. I mean, maybe you all can disagree with me, and that's fine. I think flair is one of those things that is subjective, but yeah, this knife is outstanding. I absolutely love it, and if you have an opportunity to check one of these out, I highly recommend it. Once you put it in your hand, I'm confident you may not want to give it up. So, do any of you have a Taipan, or are you ordering a mini Taipan? And what are your thoughts if you do have one, or are you excited for the mini? I know I'm pretty excited for it. I'm pretty excited for the mini and getting my hands on that KB Venom also from James Lowe. So, would love to hear your thoughts and comments. Do me a favor, if you're not, like and subscribe to the channel. We just broke 500 subs last night, so we're going to have a big giveaway on our live this Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, live in the Dragon's Lair. We have an outstanding knife. You'll see it during the week when I do a video on that. And follow the Instagram at Wyvern Kodiak. Check out some of the pictures and videos we got on there. Say hello. We love hearing from everybody. We appreciate everybody's time, and I hope you enjoyed this video. You all have a great day.